Good morning.
Time to get ready for your day with the morning warm-up with Trey Lyle. Join us live on VTRN Sports 93.3 FM or the VTRN Sports app. Open VTRN Sports on your smart speaker or stream live on YouTube. Time to get ready for your day with the morning warm-up with Trey Lyle and Ty Tracy.
7:03 on this Thursday, May 7th. Welcome back to the morning warm-up. I'm Trey Lyle. That is joining me once again, and hopefully he can hear me, and hopefully we can hear him. Good morning, Mike Neff.
Aloha, senor. How are you this fine Thursday?
Goody. I'm doing well. So inside baseball here. Studio computer was freezing. T-minus at 7:01. And awesome. So jumping through hoops, had to run to the other studio to get my headphones. So you know, it's one of those mornings here. It's Thursday morning, and you know, while Ty Tracy's won the Super Bowl in Disney World, I am just getting through here. But let's get to it with In Case You Missed It.
Keeping up with sports 24/7 takes some serious effort, especially when you're sleeping. Don't worry, the morning warm-up stays alert around the clock. Now here is everything you missed last night.
Everything you missed last night. Right here. Starting with a little bit of baseball. Yes. Tech and Liberty played last night in a big game, and the Hokies got the win 8-4 here in Lynchburg. You, of course, could have listened to that game right here on VTRN Sports. Get a major quad one win, and they had great pitching, a no-hitter through the first six and two-thirds, only 3 higher RPI wins this year. So, Neff, I don't know how familiar you're with college baseball metrics, but that would be 3 higher net wins in the net in college basketball. Cook and Daniel were 2 for 3 with homers, while Clement, Grimm, Ellis Rich, and Kraut combined for 8 1/3 one-hit frames. Just the thing for the Hokies right now are baseball team, and they will, especially under the John Sheft era, they will go as far as their pitching will take them. It's been the downfall of the team. It's why they struggled at certain points, is their pitching. And as they head into, hopefully, they hope, a NCAA tournament appearance in the coming weeks, they are going to rely on their pitching. And obviously, they're led by Brett Renfroe, who is quickly becoming one of the best pitchers in the ACC. But Hokies get the win, 8-4. I don't think that hurts Liberty's chances of making the NCAA tournament. Hokies kind of needed the win more in the big picture, but they're playing really good baseball at the right time, heading into a series this weekend against Clemson before heading to the ACC tournament. Other news and notes from yesterday, switching over to the hoops action. No Joel Embiid for the 76ers as the Knicks win 108-102 to take a commanding 2-0 series lead. Neff, I think the Sixers played okay, considering they did not have the big fella. But ultimately it does feel like the Knicks, and obviously you can't win every game by 30 like they were doing, because they were coming off of 3 straight games winning by 30. So they weren't probably going to play their best. But in terms of the teams in the East, we're going to repeat this. I think the Knicks, especially with their starting 5 of, OG, Cat, Hart, Bridges, Brunson, all had big games. You're getting good minutes from Jordan Clarkson off the bench. They have, obviously, Jose Alvarado, Deuce McBride. Ultimately, and they didn't even have Mitch in this game, Mitchell Robinson, who's their one of the best rebounders in the league. I just think it does feel like we're inevitably going to get a you can pick between Oklahoma City and San Antonio, and I can't discount Minnesota in the West. We'll get to that game in a second.
Yeah.
It does feel like we're inevitably say that big words today. Inevitably going to have at least a few NBA Finals games inside Madison Square Garden.
Maybe. I mean, I give the Knicks props because last night they were challenged. I mean, the Sixers were playing really well, and it was a nip and tuck game into the fourth. And then in the fourth, it kind of was a combination of things. I felt like the Sixers kind of were gassed. I think they had expended everything they could at that point, and they just started shooting really poorly in the fourth. And the Knicks kind of stepped up their D a little bit and kind of shut them down. So the Sixers only got 12 points in the fourth quarter, and that ultimately, I think, is obviously the reason they won the game. But it was a good test for the Knicks, and I think it was a good showing that they stepped up and met the challenge.
Yes, indeed, especially with no Embiid, it made it a little bit different. And the Sixers have been used to playing with Embiid because he came off, in fact, he came and people like criticizing Joel Embiid, like, why did he not play? I will just say a man is 3 weeks off. If you watched him in that game 7, and he's also 3 weeks off in appendicitis, and yeah, he might be a little sore. And I wouldn't put it past the Sixers to come back from 2-0 because it's also the Knicks. And anything that the Knicks are very, honestly, all New York sports are kind of, they'll find a way to destroy you. There's only one true like winning franchise in that city, and that's the Yankees. So the Knicks. So I wouldn't put it past them coming back, but I do feel like going up 2-0 was big for the Knicks, bigger for the Knicks than bigger for the Sixers to split it. Speaking of splitting. Game 2, classic. This is the classic. The Spurs needed it more, because going up, 2-0 and going on the road was just an impossible task. And for me, what I wanted to see is, to me, the reason San Antonio loses to Minnesota, I would compare this series to the Luka Doncic Mavericks taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder when the Thunder were the 1 seed for the first time. So this was 3 years ago. And Luka was able to kind of dictate that series. The Mavs won. And the Thunder were just not ready to win with that core. Because typically with these young teams, you need to lose one before you win one. Yep. We say it in NASCAR too. And I ultimately, I think if San Antonio loses this series to Minnesota, it's going to be in a very similar way. But it showed good signs that San Antonio was able to bounce back with a dominant 133-95 win. Obviously Ant not 100% coming off that injury. He still came off the bench in this one, had 12 points as they ramp him up. But a big night from De'Aaron Fox. He had 16 points to close it out. Steph Castle, 21. Wemby had 19. It was just kind of a consistent performance by the entire San Antonio Spurs team, Neff.
Yeah, they sent a message. I mean, that was a deal. They let them steal that first one, and this was a reminder to the Wolves of who San Antonio has been all year. And I mean, we'll see when they get back to Minnesota. Home court makes a difference in the NBA on occasion, and I think it does for Minnesota. So we'll see how it plays out. But yeah, the Spurs definitely sent a message last night to say that it's going to be a tall task to try to get through them.
Quickly moving over to hockey, the best atmosphere in the playoffs has resided in Buffalo. Has the Sabre would you rather have a beer? Okay, so we're going with the two novelty props. Would you rather have a beer Sabre or a beer skate, Neff?
I ain't gonna lie, the beer skate is pretty cool looking.
And
they whipped that thing out the other night, and I'm like, that is a pretty neat accessory to get with your alcohol.
For folks who haven't seen it, Buffalo, who won last night 4-2 to take a 1-0 series lead against the Canadiens, they have a beer Sabre, which is like a long tube with the beer in it, but you hold it like a sword. And the Carolina Panthers, that's also a team, but the Carolina Hurricanes responded by doing a beer skate, and you can drink your beer out of it, which it looks like a skate so highly recommend going and looking up those images. Both great. Any novelty beer item is just a chef's kiss. But nice win from the Sabres last night, take a 1-0 series lead, and the Ducks take a 1-0 series lead, or tie the series, against the Golden Knights with a 3-1 victory there. Moving over to Major League Baseball now. Rangers defeat the Yankees 6-1. Rays over the Blue Jays 3-0. The Brewers defeat the Cardinals 6-2. Dodgers defeat the Astros 12-2. Padres over the Giants 5-1. Angels defeat the White Sox 8-2. Braves fall to the Mariners 3-1. Phillies defeat the Athletics 6-3. Phillies playing good baseball since they fired their manager. Orioles defeat the Marlins 7-4. Red Sox defeat the Tigers 4-0. Nats defeat the Twins 15-2. Neff was excited because the Cubs walked it off against the Reds 7-6 in 10 innings.
Third win in a row on a walk-off.
How about that for the Cubbies?
Yeah,
you could just say Neff was singing Go Cubs Go yesterday. Guardians defeat the Royals 3-1. Mets defeat the Rockies 10-5. And the Pirates, behind Paul Skeens, who just dominated some baseball yesterday, won 1-0. Paul Skeens, 8 innings, gave up 2 hits, no runs, 7 strikeouts, no walks, for maybe the best pitcher in baseball. Actually, he is. Tarek Skubal.
I'd say that's pretty much a positive there.
Future Yankee Tarek Skubal. I mean, I maybe that too, but I was going to refer to Paul Skeens. Other news and notes from yesterday. The billionaire media entrepreneur and philanthropist who helped launch CNN, amongst other things, including at one point bought WCW and started the Monday Night Wars. Of course, used to own the Atlanta Braves and the Atlanta Hawks, and obviously famously put the Braves on TBS, where they were there for a very, very long time. Ted Turner passed away yesterday at 87. A man, Neff, you might be able to speak better to this because you were alive when CNN first started, and the growth of Google News. And I'm not here to date you. It's just you are the grumpy old man for a reason.
Exactly.
But it does feel like, in terms of truly the most interesting men in the world, which some of my favorite commercials are those Dos Equis, the most interesting man in the world. I feel like Ted Turner belongs in that kind of conversation.
Absolutely. I mean, the whole Superstation thing, I missed that ultimately kind of fizzled. And that's why I'm a Cubs fan, because the Cubs were on WGN. And that's when I became a Cubs fan. But Ted Turner was Elon Musk before Elon Musk. I mean, he was just stupid rich. And if he wanted to do something, he just did it. And the one statistic I have heard about Ted Turner that I still think is just incredible is that he owns so much property in the state of New Mexico. I mean, this isn't like Rhode Island or Dover or something, or Delaware. This is New Mexico, that he can go from the northern border of New Mexico to the southern border of New Mexico, riding his horse, and never leave property that he owns. That is just stupid amounts of property that he owns in New Mexico. But he had that kind of money, and he revitalized the oh my God, I just lost the word. The yacht racing cup. What is the word I'm looking for?
America's Cup.
America's Cup. Thank you very much. Jeez, I don't know where I lost that from. He revived that. We lost it, and it was our playground. We lost it. And he's like, I'm putting the money into building a boat, and we're getting it back. And he did it.
And won.
He was on the boat. That's the other thing.
Yeah,
it
he
isn't like he
and won.
Yeah, it is like he was like, hey, let's do this, put the money in it, and let somebody else do it. He put the money in it, and then he drove the damn boat.
He managed.
He was an amazing, amazing person.
I think my favorite thing he did ultimately is which honestly, I'm shocked George Steinbrenner never did this. He managed the Braves for a game, and the NL, and back then, the NL and AL had different presidents. They just didn't, and the NL president had to step in and say, you can't do this. His logic was, well, I saved $11 million to buy the team. I feel like I'm smart enough to manage it, which is not bad logic,
nope,
to say the least.
Not at all.
Other news and notes, Carlos Correa, speaking of baseball, will miss the remainder of the season after tearing a tendon in his ankle. So maybe the Mets and other teams are right about issues with his ankle. undergo surgery to be out 6 to 8 months. The great Shane Metlin, who you hear Mondays on the Fast Lane with Ed, covering the Commonwealth, he sat down with Matt Roan this morning. A couple items aren't going to go in the story immediately, he said, but of note with recent headlines, he mentioned that Roan is not a candidate for the Virginia Tech AD job and doesn't anticipate any sports being cut from JMU. We'll talk more about that in 20-ish minutes with Andy Bitter, techsideline.com. Cheryl DeVoe yesterday announced that Golden Tempo will not run in the May 16th Preakness. Instead, we'll look ahead at the Belmont Stakes. Again, year and year becoming bigger of an issue. The Belmont Stakes is moving back a week, or is the Preakness moving back a week? It does feel like if we want the Triple Crown again, we have to relook at the dates of all these events.
Yeah, I mean, if they want people to do this, they're going to have to work together and space it out so that the horses have time to recover. Because let's face it, those animals are bred for speed, not durability. And if you don't give them the proper time to rest, you're putting them at risk. And let's face it, the price tag on stud fees for Golden Tempo went up exponentially by winning the Derby. So they're looking at it from the financial investment side more than the racing side, but they're also keeping in mind the health and wellness of the animal, which I give them credit for. But I hate to see it. I mean, when you come into the Triple Crown, you just feel like that's a commitment that needs to be made by those trainers and horses. But you got to keep the animal safe. So I get it.
Yeah, I respect it more of keeping, doing honestly the better interest of the animal, the interest of yourself. If you're Charlie DeVoe, you want to go after the Triple Crown. Like, this is way in the better interest of the animal than it is anything else. So, that just needs to be changed. Speaking of the Hokies, they add Jalen Curry, a guard from Oklahoma State. 6'1" junior, averaged 10 points, 3.5 rebounds, and 3.5 assists per game last season. I think that's a pretty good addition. Speaking of college basketball, the final steps are in place of the NCAA tournament expanding to 76 games. Committee calls scheduled for Thursday loom as the expected final steps for the formalization of expansion. Expansion process can be completed as early as Thursday.
Stop it.
I hate this, Neff. I really do.
Stop it. Please stop it.
It's going to happen, unfortunately. But I hate this.
Looking at this in NASCAR glasses, is this the same thing where ESPN wants more games, so they're making it happen?
ESPN doesn't even get any games. Well, they do on the women's side, but the men's side goes to Turner. So, but of course, you'll be listening to them right here. You are great partners at Westwood One on the VTR and Sports app.
True. It just, I just feel like it's the tail wagging the dog.
I would be more open to it. The part I don't like even more, which granted, these 15 and 16 seeds want them because they want to get that unit. I don't want the playing games for 15 and 16 seeds. If you told me it's playing games for every at-large spot, or like the at-large spot, like the 10 through 12 seeds, or 12 I think it would be the 10 through 12 seeds, I would be more open for it, because at least the difference between like the top 10 seed and like the 8th team out is not that much. But again, do I really think Virginia Tech would, for example, Virginia Tech this past season, who underperformed, would have been a team in? And do we really want that? No. So just dumb. Other news and notes, Bucks co-owner Jimmy Haslam says he would like to have the Giannis Antetokounmpo future sorted out before next month's NBA draft. Haslam spoke Wednesday alongside general manager John Horst at a news conference. Taylor Jenkins is Bucks coach. Obviously, Giannis has spent his 13-year career with the Bucks, but it's possible he could leave Milwaukee after a frustrating injury March season. I also would like to get it over with. Let's just leave it at that. All right.
Yeah, I'm tired of hearing about it.
Other news and notes. We're moving to NASCAR now. It was announced, and this was not shocking. This was one of the names I think that was brought up initially when this was announced at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Travis Pastrana going to be in the Ram truck for the 25. That's pretty cool considering this will be his second truck start of the season, as he did Daytona with Nees Motorsports. And we have a trial date now for NASCAR. It's gonna be January.
Yay.
Basically,
Yay.
JGR won in November, Spire won in May. They picked the middle. So we'll have whatever preseason testing at Daytona, whatever, I forget the exact name, what they want to call it. Preseason Thunder or something like that. I know it's like a
yep.
And
Yep.
NASCAR
like the Roar before the 24, same thing.
Yes. No. And yesterday, it was not shocking that Team Penske announced this. Ryan Blaney, long-term contract extension. And they announced a renewal of his partnership with Menards. Obviously. Now, if this was not shocking, I think this, to me, signals most that now the face of Penske, at least on the NASCAR side, has moved from Joey Logano to Ryan Blaney.
Yeah, probably. I mean, from the popularity standpoint and the fan side of things, I would agree with that. But I mean, however he won him, Joey Logano is still a 3-time champion, and you cannot discount the fact that he is a 3-time champion. So I love that Blaney almost single-handedly changed the culture at Penske from the pressed white Hugo Boss world to mullets and giant mustaches, and it has signaled a change in just the overall attitude of that organization, and I like it. And so yeah, he's definitely a face. Logano's still up there too, but yeah, you're probably right. In the grand scheme, he's probably edged his way into the top seat of leadership on the driver's side at Penske.
Yeah, I mean, he's just been better. I mean, he's just been better. I know Logano, because of the format, won 3 titles. Blaney did win a title, but he's been, if you look really in the next gen era, Blaney's been the best Ford driver, I think, all these years. So he's just been better.
Not the best Ford pit crew.
No, and that's of course not his fault as well. Well, speaking of pit crews, Neff's performing like a good pit crew with Today in Sports History. I don't know if that transition worked.
That was a horrible transition, but it matches Today in Sports History because it is a barren landscape for this day in sports history today. A lot of Kentucky Derby stuff, not much else.
Well, I'm gonna make it work. So
I know you are.
Tune in. Will Neff do well? Find out next here on the morning warm up.
The clock is ticking. Time is running out for Virginia citizens to purchase modern sporting rifles and magazines from Big Boys Guns. Beat the July 1st deadline. Right now, the selection is robust at Big Boys Guns. ARs, AKs, and the most popular handguns will soon be banned from sale in the state of Virginia. Don't wait. Visit Big Boys Guns before the inventory is gone and not allowed to return. Shop 24/7 at BigBoysGuns.com and in store on Route 460 in Blue Ridge.
Hi, Gary the Third here, and I'm excited to say spring has arrived at Gary's Garden Center with great plants and a great selection. Gary's has seasonal color flowers along with vegetables, 60-plus varieties of herbs, perennial flowers, and much more. With friendly service and great advice, we are always happy to answer your questions. Visit Gary's Garden Center at 794 Leesville Road for all your lawn and garden needs. Stop by, say hi, and take a look around.
Midday hunger hitting you hard? Swing by Macadoo's for our $8.95 weekday lunch specials. Whether you're craving a classic crunch or something fresh, we've got you covered. Chicken tender basket featuring crispy golden tenders served with fries. The Macadoo's Chef Salad, the healthy, loaded favorite that will hit the spot. Hit back against your lunchtime hunger at Macadoo's with eats that won't break the bank.
It's time to share great food and fun. Just to be there the only one. Just to be there at Macadoo's.
We'll see you at the Do's.
Every Saturday night, after the Hill City Howlers play ball at City Stadium, the best fireworks in the region light up the Lynchburg sky. It's the perfect way to end a perfect night. baseball, family, and a show you won't forget. Get your tickets now at hchowlers.com. That's hchowlers.com. Howl out loud.
Spring means green lawns, open windows, and afternoons spent outdoors. At Brownstone Properties, you'll find homes with private yards, with locations near scenic walking trails, or beautiful local parks, perfect for family picnics or peaceful strolls. This season, find your place to grow. Start today at brownstoneproperties.com or call 434-385-1025. Brownstone Properties, where home is at the heart of everything we do.
Few things are more majestic than nature, as long as it's outside your house. Unfortunately, when wildlife gets inside your chimney, it leads to problems for your chimney and your house. Prevent this problem with Black Goose Chimney Service. They provide one-time solutions to ensure the wildlife stays outside your home. And if you've had wildlife inside your house, Black Goose Chimney Service can deal with the aftermath and make sure they don't return. Call Black Goose Chimney Service and visit them at blackgoose.net.
Spring is a season of fresh starts, and it's the perfect time to refresh your finances too. Whether you're opening a new checking account, planning a home project, or exploring lending options, Farmers Bank offers personalized service and local expertise you can count on. We're here to help you grow, save, and plan for what's next, this season and beyond. Stop by your nearest branch or visit us online to learn more. Farmers Bank, your community, your bank, your future.
Your insurance company tells you to go to a certain shop. Once they give you the inflated estimate, you think, uh-oh, better get Mako. For over 50 years, Mako has been repairing and painting cars. Mako is not in contract with insurance companies. They work for you. They don't give insurance companies discounts and rebates you'd never get. At Mako, you'll get an honest assessment of your repair work by trained, certified professionals. You'll get the choice to pay with insurance or out of pocket, whichever makes sense for you. So if you have an insurance claim, get a second opinion at Mako on Kemper Street in Lynchburg.
Good morning. We are just getting your day started here on VTRN Sports with the morning warm-up. Stay connected with the show at Trey Lyle VT and Ty Tracy 90 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Listen wherever you are with the VTRN Sports app or watch the show live on YouTube at youtube.com/VTRN Sports Lynchburg. Now, back to the morning warm-up.
Welcome back to the morning warm-up on VTRN Sports. I'm Trey Lyle. That's Ty Tracy's persona, Mike Neff. Jamming.
Yeah, man. I'm so glad you let that Jimmy song go that long, because that when that breaks down right there, that is phenomenal.
We can only hope it doesn't, kick me off the when my podcast goes up, they don't, copyright it. But, oh well, YOLO. But let's get to it. Today in sports history.
Tyrod waiting. Tyrod scrambling. Back at the 20. Fires. End zone. It is caught for the touchdown by Roberts. It's a miracle in Blacksburg. Tyrod did it, Mikey. Tyrod did it.
It's time for Today in Sports History.
Play action. Salter to throw back to the left, and it's caught in the end zone. Light him up. Touchdown, Liberty. Bentley Henshaw.
From ruin to redemption, the Virginia Cavaliers are the 2019 NCAA National Champions.
Let's hear what Ty really knows about what happened on this day in sports history.
All right, Neff. On this date in 1945, Branch Rickey announces the formation of this.
Branch Rickey, his impact on baseball and specifically integration is unparalleled. He started the Negro Baseball League.
That is correct. Look at that, Neff, on the board. You probably have it up right now and you're cheating, but that's okay. On this date, on this date in 1951, the IOC allows this country to participate in the 1952 Olympics.
The nemesis of the United States, Russia.
That is correct. On this date in 1969, the second ever ABA championship.
Oh, you had to bring this up, didn't you?
This team defeats the Indiana Pacers 4-1. I mean,
I was alive. I was alive,
Yeah.
but I don't really remember it. I also don't remember this team. Unlike most of the ABA teams that came over to the NBA, but it was the Oakland Oaks. And
Okay, you're definitely cheating.
I don't.
That's correct.
I'm not necessarily cheating because I read that on this. I told you I pulled up a website and I study this before we do it. So I saw that and I figured you would bust it out since it was the Pacers. So that was why I read it.
You might have been correct. In 1972, the Los Angeles Lakers won their first ever NBA championship with a 114-100 victory over this team in Game 5.
Team that we just talked about earlier this morning, the New York Knickerbockers.
All right, 4-0 for Neff. I'm not doing how a federal judge voided antitrust laws to prevent the Raiders from moving to LA.
See, I thought sure you would bust that one out too, because that was one that actually
because I knew you were going to get that. I knew
sad
you were
and happy at the same time.
Okay.
Right, I get it.
All right, let's see if you remember from earlier in the week. In 1994, this team with a 98-94 overtime win against the Supersonics became the first 8-seed playoff team to win a series. They even came back from an 0-2 deficit to win in a best-of-5.
Because I busted that out as an answer, and you reminded me that it was not a best-of-7 series. That would be the Dikembe Mutombo-led Denver Nuggets.
That is correct. All right. I almost did Reggie Miller scores 8th point in 16 seconds, but again, that's a Pacers thing, and you should know that. All right. On this date in 2017, this man scores 29 points, and the Wizards use a 26-0 third quarter run to beat the Boston Celtics 121-102 to tie their second round series at 2 games apiece.
Was that Wall?
It was not John Wall. It was his counterpart, Bradley Beal. John Wall did have 27 and 12 assists in that game, and had 7 points, 3 assists, and 2 steals during that third quarter spree. Wizards did go on to lose that series. So first L that day. And there you go, Neff. Look at that. So that was 5-1. Pretty good. I mean, not bad.
That's exceptionally good. And I wouldn't do that if I didn't review each day before we do it, because I'm not that smart.
No, I knew that part. Anyways, I was going to do the birthday for today. That was Johnny Unitas. So shouts to Johnny U. Pretty good quarterback back in his day. I know you were alive.
Not bad. Alive, but I never saw him play in person.
You weren't there? I thought you were old enough for his first start. What are you talking about?
I can't remember how old I was for my first NFL game. I was in my mid-20s, I believe, when I saw my first NFL game.
Well, Neff, we got Andy Bitter joining us in a few minutes, but I do want to shout out just my favorite thing about yesterday, and you can't go too long. We got to go to break in a second. How you and Ed from yesterday. You and Ed are now feuding between Dale Earnhardt. Now it's become Dale Earnhardt versus AJ Foyt.
Yeah. I know he's just poking fun, trying to poke the bear, and I get it, but it just
someone may have brought up the fact that you really need to stick it in there by bringing AJ Foyt. Someone may have given him that advice. I don't know.
I'm sure somebody reminded Ed that gets me going, But yeah, it was just funny because he tries to poo-poo the importance of champ car racing and open wheel racing from the 60s through the early 90s when until NASCAR's boom in the mid-late 90s, IndyCar was the big sport. So the fact that he tries to poo-poo the importance of IndyCar racing was rather humorous. And I also like to bring out the USAC stock car series because he tries to poo-poo that as well. But in its day, USAC stock car racing was every bit as important as NASCAR racing.
It will probably go on to the end of times. I don't know why Ed had to include me in the chat because I'm just going to have notifications blow up and I'm not even going to answer.
Exactly.
But it's more of like a good TV show for me. So, anyways, speaking of great content, a man who always gets great content is Andy Bitter, techsideline.com. He joins us next. Talking Hokies, we'll talk a little bit about the 80s search with an update about Matt Roan, plus a lot about the donation to wrestling, and, of course, Diamond Sports as they gear up for runs in the NCAA tournament and the ACC tournament, respectively. This is the morning warm-up on VTR in Sports.
At the Sheeler Motor Mile, it's here. The all-new Motor Mile Chevrolet and Buick in Radford. More brands, more selection, and the same exceptional service you expect from a trusted community partner. Whether you're shopping Chevrolet or Buick, you'll find quality, value, and a team that puts you first. From rugged trucks and SUVs to stylish cars and family-friendly vehicles, the Motor Mile has something for everyone. With straightforward pricing and top dollar for your trade, there's no better place to buy. Bring us your trade, new or older, paid off or not, and see why your car is worth more on the Motor Mile. Plus, with more inventory arriving daily, now is the time to shop the Motor Mile. Sheeler owns the finance company and makes getting approved for credit simple and easy on the Motor Mile. Flexible financing options for every budget to get you on the road fast. Experience the Motor Mile at 3 convenient locations: Christiansburg, Radford, and Pulaski. For over 50 years, we've got Southwest Virginia covered. The all-new Motor Mile Chevrolet and Buick in Radford. Certified friendly staff. No games, no gimmicks. Call 866-SHEELER1. Always open at MotorMileChevroletBuick.com.
Summer, hot, steamy. 3 ingredients for an overheated truck. Overheated trucks is an all too often summer problem for diesel trucks. Don't let it happen to you. Go Wicked. Get your diesel truck service for less at Wicked Diesel in Bedford. Wicked Diesel is offering 20% off AC and cooling system repairs, plus oil change and tire rotation for 20% off. Go to wickeddieselva.com and print out the coupon. Go Wicked. Wicked Diesel, Bedford, Virginia.
What if counseling services were just a click away? With secure, confidential telehealth sessions through Central Virginia Counseling, you can connect from wherever you feel most comfortable, anywhere in Virginia. No commute, no waiting rooms, just personalized care designed to meet you where you are. Support is closer than you think. Start your journey today on your terms. Visit centralvirginiacounseling.com to get started.
Hi, I'm Randy Trost with Trost Law. We've seen a lot since 1982. One new issue is an increasing number of uninsured drivers. Unfortunately, when these drivers are at fault for an accident, there's a higher likelihood that they'll flee from the scene, leaving you with a potential mess. So in shopping for your auto insurance policy, please keep in mind that strong, uninsured motorist coverage can protect you from this headache. And if you've been injured in a motor vehicle accident, call us at 777-HURT and visit trostlaw.com.
Don't bring the outside heat and humidity inside your house. Now's the time to upgrade your home's comfort with a Mitsubishi Hyperheat HVAC system from the Concord Mechanical. Experience whisper quiet efficiency and total climate control. And for the month of May, every installation includes an industry-leading 10-year parts, 10-year labor, and 10-year maintenance plan at no additional cost. That's over a decade of guaranteed peace of mind. Call the Concord Mechanical today for your free estimate. Your comfort is their commitment.
Who would think indoor air can be hazardous to your health? Poor indoor air quality can cause health problems. Pollutants in your home can cause flu-like symptoms such as headaches, nausea, and respiratory irritation. A whole house air cleaner and sterilizer installed on your HVAC system is one of the most cost-effective solutions to combat poor indoor air quality. To find out more, all it takes is one call to the Comfort People at Terrell E. Mosley, Reach out to them at TerrellEMosley.com.
The clock is ticking. Time is running out for Virginia citizens to purchase modern sporting rifles and magazines from Big Boys Guns. Beat the July 1st deadline. Right now, the selection is robust at Big Boys Guns. ARs, AKs, and the most popular handguns will soon be banned from sale in the state of Virginia. Don't wait. Visit Big Boys Guns before the inventory is gone and not allowed to return. Shop 24/7 at BigBoysGuns.com and in store on Route 460 in Blue Ridge.
Good morning. We are just getting your day started here on VTRN Sports with the morning warm-up. Stay connected with the show at Trey Lyle VT and Ty Tracy 90 on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Listen wherever you are with the VTRN Sports app or watch the show live on YouTube at youtube.com/VTRN Sports Lynchburg. Now, back to the morning warm-up.
7:44 on this Thursday, May the 7th. Welcome back to the morning warm-up. I'm Trey Lyle. Mike Neff filling in as co-host this week for Ty Tracy. He's on vacation, but joining us now from TechSideline.com is Andy Bitter at Andy Bitter VT. Andy, good morning. Hope you're doing well. I do want to ask you, Shane Metling came out with from DNR Sports with a report yesterday mentioning how Matt Rohn, the current AD at JMU, is not a candidate for the Virginia Tech athletic director spot. Were you surprised to see that? It felt like Matt Rohn was kind of one of the obvious names with, obviously a lot of Hokies ties that could have been selected for the role.
Yeah, I don't believe that. I think that's just what he's saying right now. And nobody's a candidate for a job until they accept it. Right. I think that's Matt probably getting out there in front of a story and trying to, be loyal to the school that he's at right now, stay in good standing with them. But I have to imagine if the opportunity came up, he would probably jump at it with Virginia Tech. So I look at this kind of like I look at what did Nick Saban say when he was with the Dolphins? He says, I am not a candidate for the head coach position at the University of Alabama. And then it happens eventually. So people can say what they want right now. I don't know if I necessarily think that's true, though.
Kind of like Will Wade saying he was never he was never a candidate for the LSU head coaching job.
Right, and I'm not saying that Matt Rohn is a top candidate or something like that, but I think probably in the mix, at least would be considered. I would imagine.
It would be fair to say what you categorize as you would not be surprised if Matt Rohn was announced as the next Hokies AD.
No, I mean, if it ended up going that route, and again, I'm not saying I have sources that say that, but I just the coming out and saying you're not a candidate for a job that you'd be an obvious candidate for, I don't buy it. That doesn't pass the smell test to me.
It was announced this week the path of how they were going to figure out the head of the Hokie Club, which Neff was a little confused about. So this is here to educate you, Neff.
Thank
for
you.
people out there that don't understand the importance of the Hokie Club, especially in this kind of era, which this is kind of the position that no one is talking about that needs to be filled. How big is this hire of finding someone in charge of the fundraising arm for Virginia Tech athletics?
Well, money is the name of the game in college sports right now, and you're not going to get it just from your TV deals, and you're not going to get it just from from the university or something like that. You're going to need donations. You're going to need people getting money coming in, and how do you get that? You get it from the Hokie Club. That's the way to do it. So whoever they get in that position is going to have to know how to ask people for money. Going to have to know how to do it in large quantities, and I think they've done a good job upping the number of people that are donors within the Hokie Club. But now they have to tap into that a little bit more and get a little bit more donations, because every other school is doing it. You look at how they're funding all their programs.
Speaking of large donations, it was announced this week that Hokies Wrestling received a donation of $1 million. In terms of most consistent high-end programs, there is no better program at Virginia Tech than what Toby Roby has done with Virginia Tech Wrestling. They hired James Green recently as an assistant coach, who's a former Olympian, who's actually already worked with them in the past. This seems to be on like this past year, Hokies wrestling is take not just like from a step where they're a top 10 contender. They've taken now even a leaps and bounds another step to they're truly trying to compete with the top end of the sport, considering the recruiting class they're bringing in. I compare Bo Bassett to Arch Manning in terms of hype, in terms of like the wrestling space. It does feel like this kind of caps a year for Tony Roby where he is truly taking Virginia Tech wrestling to kind of the next level.
Yeah, they're going for it. You have to admire that. I mean, $1 million, it doesn't sound like a lot for like football or basketball. For wrestling, that can make a huge difference. And that might just be the Bo Bassett check right there, whatever it takes to get him here. They redshirted some guys last year specifically to make a run at this year coming up. And, that's a tough sport to get to the top of the mountain. The way Penn State has put a stranglehold on that entire sport. But, how many schools truly care about wrestling? Like 10, 12? I mean, it's not 130 like it is in football, or, maybe that's overstating how many care truly about football. But, if you're going to try to win a national championship, wrestling might be the best thing. If you have a fan base that is passionate about it and a coach that has built a culture that people really care about. And I think that's what Roby has done in his time at Virginia Tech, continuing on what Kevin Dresser started a while ago. So very fascinating to watch. And people talk about how all these, non-revenue sports are just going to go by the wayside because all the money's going to football and all the money's going to basketball. It's like, in a way that's true, but in another way, if people truly care about it and think it's something worth supporting, they will step up and donate and give money to a sport like this. And I think wrestling at Virginia Tech is a perfect example of that.
Speaking of sports that are at Virginia Tech that I think there is true passion behind, we're going to the diamond sports now, starting with softball. 3 seed the ACC tournament. They feel like they still have a real shot, depending on how much noise they can make in this ACC tournament, at hosting a regional. Pete Demore has built a really good team with the Hokies. And what do you think about their chances as they head in the ACC tournament, starting off today against Virginia?
Well, they're not going to host a regional because I think logistically it's not going to work with graduation around here. So that's not going to be something. But they can still get a pretty good seed in the tournament coming up. And, that's another program that feels like it's been funded pretty well and people care about. They draw good crowds out there. I know it's not a revenue-producing crowd. It's free admission to that. But you have to have the support before you have the money behind it. And that program certainly has support. They've sort of been knocking on the door of something special these last couple of years. And it'll be interesting to watch. I don't know if they have quite the firepower that they have from a pitching perspective, maybe in the past couple of years, but they certainly have more pitchers, I think, that they've had that they could possibly go to. And sometimes that's what you need to get through some of these, regional, super regional, stuff like that. So that'll be an interesting team to watch, see if they can go a little bit farther this year.
At AndyBitterVT on Twitter, AndyBitterTechSideline.com. Sticking with the Diamond now, moving over to baseball. They get a big win last night against Liberty, which you can call it right here on VTRN Sports. They're sitting in the middle of the ACC, but they've played down the stretch some really, really good baseball. And obviously, they just come off a series win against Cal. Brett Renfroe has been pitching at really an elite level as their Friday pitcher. It does feel like this is, you look at John Sheff, he's sort of had a money ball this. You look at the scholarships they offer and stuff like that. This feels like kind of the opposite of what we've seen from John Sheff teams where they start out hot and fade late. This feels like he's kind of figured out the magic sauce where they are really, really peaking at the right time.
Yeah, I think the schedule has something to do with that. I think in past years they've had a lighter entry into the ACC play, and then they get the bull, they get the horns of the bull on the back end of it and it's not as easy this year. I think the schedule has lightened up a little bit for them after a tough start, taking advantage of going out to Cal last weekend, and they swept that series, correct?
They lost the Sunday game.
Okay, two out of three. Still going out and taking 2 out of 3 against a team in the lower half of the standings. And, they got Clemson, I believe, is their final ACC series. And, Clemson isn't Clemson like it was in the past. I think that's an opportunity for them. If you have a good showing there, you look at their strength of schedule, you look at the conference they play in, could they get into the tournament? Possibly. I think it's at least a discussion, whereas, a couple weeks ago, I don't think they were even in the conversation about making the tournament. So, that's progress for a team that hasn't made the tournament in a couple of years to possibly be in there. It'll be interesting to see if they can get the necessary wins here down the stretch to be able to do it.
Andy Bitter, techsideline.com. Andy, looking at your mailbag from last week, which, by the way, check that out, at techsideline.com. You talked about where James Franklin could rank in terms of ACC coaches, and it's kind of the argument of how do you go with their balancing historical success versus how they're doing now? Obviously, that would be the debate between Dabo and Mario, but it does feel like James Franklin belongs in terms of that top tier of ACC coaches.
Yeah, I would think so. And I kind of lumped them. It wasn't necessarily a ranking. It was more sort of grouping them.
Mm-hmm.
And, the guys that have had historical success for a while now, it's, Dabo Swinney, Mario Cristobal. I have to begrudgingly put him up there with what he's done. And, James Franklin. Those are the guys that have a track record of doing it. That next tier, I think Jeff Brom is kind of a tweener. I don't know if I quite put him in that group yet, or if I put him in the, need to see just a little bit more. But I think, him and, Rhett Lashley is one. Manny Diaz, another one I have in that group. Those are guys on the cusp of getting up in there and having a long enough track record of success. But there's nobody really in the ACC that has just like locked it down. And even Dabo, who's the one you would think is doing that, you have questions about him in this NIL space. And can he handle the transfer portal? And can he handle NIL stuff? I think that's a question with him, even though that's really, one off season from this, 14-year peak where they've won 9+ games every single season. So it's an interesting time in the ACC because I don't think there's just this obvious, number one option out there. Perhaps Miami can get there, but you look at their reliability over the last couple decades. I don't know if I would bet on that. So perhaps a good time for Virginia Tech to come in with a coach with a proven track record and try to get this thing on track.
Here with Andy Bitter, techsideline.com. Moving to the recruiting front, while you were able to talk about it and overall, I do want to mention, like, what is it like? One of the earliest commits in this class, I believe it was the 8th commit, is a flip from Virginia to Virginia Tech. That feels, while he, in terms of, his rating, I believe he's just a 3-star prospect. It's DeMarcus Brown from Roanoke. The bigger part feels like the fact that he was able to flip him from Virginia.
Yeah, possibly. I don't even really know how to look at recruiting anymore, because is that just a good job by the coaches? Pressing on this guy and be like sticking with him, going, hey, no, you still leave your options open and do this? Or did they just come in with a bigger check or a bigger promise of money once you get here? So, the way we used to frame recruiting, it was always like, oh man, these coaches work tirelessly. And perhaps that was just a smokescreen for these SEC schools that were paying these players anyway, under the table. But I don't know if I look at recruiting wins the same way I did before. And even if they do get a recruit in here, big time recruit, and they signed him, is he going to play right away? If he doesn't play right away, is he going to play ever here with the transfer portal? So I don't want to poo-poo a signing or a flip like this, but I feel like my interest in recruiting is so much less than it used to be, just on individual recruits, because the transfer portal is such a big thing with this. There's so much movement that, more than 50% of these guys will not even come close to finishing their careers at Virginia Tech. So, how many are going to actually make an impact here? So that's kind of how I view recruiting now. Yes, nice win. Certainly something to coaching staff can trumpet saying they got a flip from Virginia. They the balance is shifting in the state. I'm sure that is the narrative that will come out of this whole thing. And perhaps that's true to a degree, but I don't know. I have such a waning interest in the day-to-day minutia of recruiting.
At Andy Bitter VT, Andy Bitter TechSideline.com. Andy, enjoy the ongoing search with Virginia Tech, the Virginia Tech AD search. I bet you will not be Matt Rome will not be the last person to say he's not a candidate for the job, and either mean it or not mean it. And you have to read through that. But I appreciate you joining us this morning.
Yeah, no problem.
That was Andy Bitter, TechSideline.com. Joining us, Neff. One more. Are you? I got a Friday. By the way, how was the golf yesterday? Were you able to make it?
Yeah, I was there. I got to see Vanna White in person, which is interesting. Also, I forgot he was on the list, but as I was wrapping up at the end of the day, saw John McEnroe jumping in his little chauffeured car, which was kind of cool. I got to see a lot of Lando Norris's back. I never got in a position to see him walking at me. I was always chasing him around, but it was a good day. First day, kind of working the bugs out on some stuff for the rest of the week, where we're now, today starts the actual tournament. Yesterday was Pro-Am Day, but it's a cool thing to experience a true PGA event. I know it's not a headline PGA event, but it is a cool time to be out there and be part of it. So it's an honor to get to do that.
All right, Neff, I'm Trey Lyle. Thanks so much, Andy Bitter, for joining us. We're back tomorrow. Bye, everybody. Thanks so much for listening to the Morning Warm-Up on VTRN Sports, 93.3 FM, W227 BG Timberlake, and 1320 AM, W.